Jim Hopper is one of the most beloved characters in Stranger Things for many reasons, but mainly because he is a literal hero in the show. But today, I'm going to be explaining the entire backstory to Hopper's character. In the show, we learn a few things about his backstory, like how he had a daughter that died from cancer, how his wife left him, and how he became an alcoholic. But believe it or not, there's a lot more to his story that I think could lead to some theories or just be interesting to hear about for a lot of you avid Stranger Things fans like me. Before I get into it though, be sure to drop a like on the video and hit that subscribe button because over 80% of you guys who watch my videos are not subscribed, so I would really appreciate it if you hit that red button. Now without further ado, let's get right into it. The true backstory to Hopper's character has been in the works since the very beginning of Stranger Things, but the series waited until his most desperate hour in a Russian prison to finally give Hopper his big monologue scene. Certain parts of Hopper's background had already been revealed in the Stranger Things official Darkness on the Edge of Town book, though many of these secrets had yet to be translated into the Netflix series. Like many of the other characters in Stranger Things, Jim Hopper was raised in Hawkins, Indiana. While much of his youth is still left unexplored, Joyce and Hopper have reflected on their time growing up in Hawkins together. They both attended Hawkins High School together where they were friends, often skipping classes to go smoke cigarettes together. Hopper is also hinted to have been popular back in high school, as he mentioned that he hadn't been stood up on a date since the 9th grade. In Stranger Things 4, the emotional monologue for Hopper revealed that he and his father did not get along when he was a teenager. When Hopper sent a letter from the US government drafting him into the war, David Harbour's character suggests that this is his opportunity to finally prove himself to his father that he's a much better person than his dad thinks he is. This may be why he became such a devoted father to his daughters Sarah and Eleven, as Hopper's own father hadn't been attentive or kind to him when he was growing up. The newsreel at the end of Stranger Things Season 3 revealed that Hopper was a decorated US soldier in the Vietnam War. In Stranger Things Season 4, Hopper explains that he was drafted into the Vietnam War at just 18 years old. Unlike many others who were drafted, Hopper claimed he was happy to go to prove himself to his father, but his opinion would soon change when he realized what he was actually being sent to do. One of the most controversial aspects of the Vietnam War remains the United States' use of Agent Orange, a herbicide chemical being used to destroy the Vietnamese jungles and agricultural lands. Hopper explains that as a kid fresh out of high school, he was sent to Vietnam to mix Agent Orange with fellow soldiers, which they were told was a relatively harmless herbicide. However, the then 18-year-old Jim Hopper and his fellow soldiers who made it back home alive would soon discover the lasting side effects of exposure to Agent Orange, a substance that they had been making with only using kitchen gloves as protective gear. The health effects of mixing Agent Orange led to the deaths and illnesses of many of his friends and their children. Hopper's backstory also includes the fact that he had returned home from Vietnam to begin a family with his wife Diane. The two had a daughter named Sarah who was born healthy in 1971, with Hopper being a devoted and loving father to his child. However, their happy family wouldn't last long as Sarah was suddenly diagnosed with cancer and dying of illness at only 7 years old. When Hopper is introduced in Stranger Things Season 1, he's still unable to fully come to terms with his daughter's death, as he tells Mr. Clark that she lives with her mom rather than revealing the truth of her fate. Before becoming chief of police in Hawkins, Indiana, Jim Hopper was a police officer in New York City throughout the mid-1970s. After coming home from Vietnam, Hopper, Sarah, and Diane moved from Hawkins to New York City where he became a homicide detective. Before moving back to Hawkins, Indiana, Hopper gained plenty of hands-on experience investigating crimes in New York, which undoubtedly helped him approaching the disappearance of Will Byers in Stranger Things Season 1. Since then, Hopper has shown that he has extensive knowledge of police work on his investigations of the Upside Down and Russia operations with Joyce. In Stranger Things Season 1, they explain that Hopper's daughter died in 1979 quickly after being diagnosed with cancer, but Season 4 reveals what actually caused her illness, which was Agent Orange. While Sarah was born unhealthy, she developed cancer as a side effect of Hopper's exposure to the herbicide, which, like I said earlier, left many of his fellow soldiers' children stillborn or living with birth defects. This is a major source of why Hopper feels so guilty about her death, as Hopper explained in Stranger Things Season 4 that he knew having a child would mean risking health problems, but he did so anyway. Sarah's death being influenced by his exposure to Agent Orange is revealed as one of the biggest reasons why Hopper thinks he's cursed. When the timeline of Stranger Things Season 1 begins in 1983, Hopper is an alcoholic who also uses drugs. The series revealed that his addiction began after Sarah's death and grew when his wife Diane subsequently divorced him. Hopper then spent several years as Hawkins' chief of police while addicted to anti-anxiety drugs and abusing alcohol, which he did so to hide himself. This is where Hopper's backstory comes to an end in Stranger Things, as in Season 1 we meet him when he is still processing his daughter's death and his divorce from Diane. Soon after though, we all know Joyce and Eleven brought Hopper back to life in Hawkins, where he's now a hero to many of the characters in Stranger Things. Well, at least now I know if I ever want to read or find out about a depressing storyline, whether it's fictional or not, I can just go look up Jim Hopper's storyline. I mean, I knew a lot about his storyline. Like, I knew his daughter died and he thinks he caused it or whatever, but I knew he was in Vietnam, but like piecing all of it together makes his storyline of his character like that much like, wow, that's depressing. No wonder he was drowning himself in drugs and alcohol when the show first started. Like, I guess they didn't pay attention enough in season 4, but I think a lot of this, like, they didn't even mention in the series, like they said, or like I said in the script there. Like, I feel like a lot of it they didn't even mention in the series, but they did, mention it here and there. And I guess if you pieced it all together, you could have found out. But doing all this, or reading all this now, it's like, oh my god, his story, his character's story is so depressing. Like, oh my god, like no wonder he was an alcoholic and in all these drugs and everything. But everything's good for him up to this, like, now, everything's good for him now. Now I have a strong hope that Jim Hopper survives throughout season 5. If this guy dies, after reading that and after you guys hearing that, if this guy dies at the end of season 5, I'm gonna have to have a word with the Duffers. He does not deserve death in any circumstances, okay? I mean, after reading that, I mean, my goodness. I also didn't know about the New York City thing. I guess I should do more research if I'm going to be making theories about a show, but I didn't know that he was a homicide detective in New York City. That was pretty cool. I guess that explains why he was like better than literally every other cop in the town, and that's why he was chief of police. I guess that explains that. But there's a lot to his story. That's why I think there could be a spin-off show about Hopper, or at least a prequel, I guess, about Hopper's character. And I mean, eventually maybe even a sequel as well, if he survives, as I hope he does. But I think that would be pretty cool. Seeing a prequel with his character, I would like to see that, because it's a pretty crazy story. I guess it isn't like that action-packed, though. It's just like it would probably be, I wouldn't say a sequel or a prequel show. It probably just a prequel movie, I would say, of him in Vietnam and stuff. And then in New York as a homicide detective. I feel like that'd be pretty cool. A movie at least, I think that'd be pretty cool. But a sequel would be even better, because that means he would live. And I mean, who knows what's going to happen at the end of Stranger Things. But I would love to see a sequel in any character. But Hopper's character is by far one of my favorites. It's top 3 character in the show for me, because of his story, because of the amount of trauma that he's been through and how he's overcome it, and how he's a literal hero in the show now. He used to be a fat alcoholic, just a bullhead, and now he's, nice, jacked, and a hero. So, I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool to listen, read and research and everything. Let me know if you guys thought it was cool to listen to. I thought that story is pretty cool. If you guys want to know any other stories about any other characters in Stranger Things, make sure to leave a comment. I'll be happy to do it. But yeah, I really enjoyed making this, so appreciate you guys stopping by. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, spend time with your friends and family. Go follow my Twitch. I stream over there pretty much every single day now, and my Discord as well. We talk about theories and much, much more. But I appreciate you guys stopping by this video. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.